Pelotero Pickle, episode 48. We have a special guest on today, Coach Currier from Fairfield University. We talk about their NCAA run. We get into some name, image, likeness stuff, and we talk some home run derby at the end. Check it out. Pelotero Pickle, episode 48. It is Monday, July 12th. I'm here with Chris Colabello, and we have a special guest today, Coach Bill Currier, former UVM coach of me, now at Fairfield University, and very excited to have him on today. Going to talk about a lot of stuff with the college experience, the Fairfield's recent run to the NCAA tournament, a bunch of other stuff. Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Chris,
better clarify that UVM is University of Vermont, Bobby. I don't know if they would know where you're from.
Veritas Montes. It's the Latin. Everybody asks me that. Why is it UVM? Why isn't it UVT? The Green Mountain State. It's University of Green Mountains. Now we know the Catamounts.
Listen, I'm going to say two things. Number one, the state of Vermont is abbreviated VT, so that's weird. So why would you be UVM? Number two, I don't think Bobby's been as excited for a podcast episode as this one, Coach. So just goes to show you where you stand in his life.
He's a little nervous about stories that I know about him, and he's afraid to be exposed, I think, Chris. That's all.
I'm gonna get one out of the way right away. I'm gonna say it. I'm not even gonna let you say it. So first of all, I'm very mad at Vermont UVM. I won't return any emails, phone calls. If they ask me for money, they're not getting it since they cut the program. Just very mad at them. We'll always be mad at them unless they reinstate, and then I'll still be mad at them.
Understandable.
So my college process, I was ready to go to Dartmouth if I got admitted, didn't get admitted. But on my trip there, I went to the school store, got some boxers that said Dartmouth on them. And Coach Currier did a house visit during the recruiting thing. And bad move on my part, I was wearing them the day that he came to my house. And he's like, "So are you going to come to Vermont?" And I was like, "Well, if I get to Dartmouth, I'm going to go to Dartmouth." And I showed him that I was wearing. What a stupid move. That's like a classic idiot high school kid move. Show the coach, "Oh yeah, I'm going to go to Dartmouth." But the education at Dartmouth was most appealing to me, but had a great experience at UVM, had an opportunity to play right away and had a great 4 years there. But yeah, that's my story. I got ahead of the story.
I'm glad I didn't walk out when you showed me those. Pulled out his boxers, of course, hanging out of his real shorts, Chris. And, I'm like, oh, that's nice. I know the coach there, he already told me you're getting denied, so I better stay here and stay on you because, I knew you had a chance to be pretty good.
That's funny. Yeah, that was so any prospective student athletes listening, don't wear the boxer briefs of an opposing school when the coach shows up to your house.
I'm going to take it one further. How about just don't show the coach your underwear?
Yeah, that's another move.
Maybe just keep your underwear in your pants.
Yeah. It was just a waistband. It wasn't like.
I get it. It's still weird. It's less weird.
Yeah.
It's good to get that cleared out. I wouldn't tell that one, but I'm glad you feel confident enough, Bobby, to get that out there.
Yeah, I just want to get ahead of it. So can you take us through your coaching history, your playing history? So you're from Vermont, from Essex, went to UVM, drafted by the Phillies. Tell us a little bit about your pro career, your pro experience, because I really don't know much about it.
Yeah.
Every time we let you take BP, you would hit more homers than everybody else.
Jack Leggett was certainly the coach there at Vermont for 5 years, and he recruited a pretty good class. We had Kirk McCaskill was a year behind me. Dan Gasparino was the first team All-New England catcher, played with the Yankee minor leagues for a year or two. Jeff Green, another guy from my high school, was drafted in the 17th round. I mean, within a couple of years, we had 4 or 5 guys drafted off that Vermont program where they had no scholarships. So a lot of local talent, and which there is here and there in Vermont. I think this Kellington kid's going to be a top 20 draft pick coming up today that UConn had signed to go there. But so I, got recruited there. I was thinking college hockey, actually. I was not thinking baseball. And he said, "Hey, you can come here and play Division I right away and this and that. And we've got a real good class coming in." 3 years later, I'm getting drafted in the 6th round by the Phillies. And it all came fast and furious late. I'm at the Cape, ready to start my first game at Hyannis. And I get drafted. I fly to Boston, fly to Burlington, sign. and played for the next 3 years in the minor league. So, I only played 18 games in high school. I never knew my potential as a baseball player. And I was obviously big, played first base. The scouts put me in the outfield my junior year, told Leggett that you got to get him in the outfield. He can throw and run. You're wasting him at first. So it was a good experience, realizing your potential and getting recognized that way on the national scene. So, but I really was like an 18-year-old when I was 21 as far as experience playing. So, and I did go right to A ball, not to rookie ball, which I think was a mistake probably. I did have a pretty good first year, but got behind a little bit and never got out of it. But having patience, as we know as coaches, having patience and seeing a product that needs some work and just need to give them time and skills and good coaching to get there is an important thing. And that whole experience certainly helped me in coaching. And now in my 34th year of Division I coaching and 36 overall, it's been a valuable lesson and valuable of knowing how to see kids and knowing that some kids will escalate pretty quickly up to talent level to a higher level, and some that don't move and some that never get better. So I think that's important to see. So, I got out of there, went right to grad school with Leggett, who was at Western Carolina at that time. And I got my master's right away, and then got a junior college job out of Mitchell College in Connecticut. Was there for a couple of years as a soccer coach, baseball coach, taught 5 classes, one of those deals. You got to get out of pretty quick if you're going to coach baseball. So I got the head job at Vermont as a 27-year-old. I think I was the youngest head Division I coach in the country at the time. So, and it was there for 22 years till they cut the program in 2009. So, and then I went to Tennessee as a 1-year volunteer with Todd Raleigh, who was there, who was my ex-assistant at Vermont and an ex-Vermonter also. And then I got this head job late summer of 2010. So, and I've been here now, 10th year as a head coach, and I was an associate head coach the first year. So we built a good program here around very bright kids. It's a good academic school, Jesuit Catholic private school in Connecticut. So we've done well. And obviously this year was a culmination of getting the right kids and keeping them motivated in a very difficult year and making the most of it, of the schedule that was put before us. And the kids did a great job, better as they went. So 39-5, not too bad of a record.
It's an outstanding season. I want to rewind just a little bit. I want to hear, so you were at Vermont for 20 plus years, small budget, barely any scholarship dollars, and going to Tennessee. What was how did that shift your perspective, or what did you learn the most going from small school to big school? And then how did you bring that back to Fairfield?
Yeah, that's really 3 schools that I mentioned, Vermont, Tennessee, and then Fairfield. You got 3 totally different schools, really. You got a state school at the beginning with very little budget, no scholarships. And, it's finding the right kids. It's finding kids that get overlooked and then working like heck to get them, getting them better and believing in themselves. Then I went to Tennessee, and it's like, everybody had been drafted, or everybody's got an agent or handler. And it was something, because my player of the year was a sophomore at Vermont, Matt Duffy, who was he was Pacific Coast Player of the Year in AAA, and then played just 1 year with Houston for half a year, I think, for Houston. He was there actually just a few months before me. So we kind of went there together, and I thought he was the best third baseman in the SEC. When he went there his junior year, and he was ended up drafted in the 20th round the next year, his senior year. But, I was very impressed with the talent level, certainly. It was sliders 80% of the time, it seemed like. The talent was obviously a lot better, but Matt Duffy tells me all the time, he says, Coach, I would have much rather stayed at Vermont, had a great all-round experience with knowing other athletes, other student body, and having a great time. And still, I would have been a big fish in a small pond, and I would have probably been a higher draft pick and had a much better college experience than just isolated as a baseball player, got to know nobody else, and it was just about baseball, and that was it. And, and he's, of course, out of baseball now. But, so there's something to giving an all-around experience to a kid to make sure that baseball is going to be what he wants to follow, but he's having a good all-around experience. And that's an important thing, I think, of any kid now, because as you guys know, the percentages, they're so small of somebody making it to the big leagues or sticking any length of time to make any money to put away or whatever. So, it's an interesting perspective of his about that change of going from Vermont to Tennessee. And when I'm coaching there, I was like a kid in a candy shop. I mean, I didn't have to worry about budgets. I didn't have to worry about anything. I couldn't even, I was told that you don't need to bring your fungo onto the field, coach. We got equipment guys to do that. I'm like, what? I'm used to setting up stuff and taking in the balls and collecting them with the players, and players don't touch anything. Coaches don't touch anything. They just walk onto the field and everything's all set up for them and taken down at the end of practice. So, it was a phenomenal experience to go to the places and play in the stadiums and everything. But, we were the third worst team in the SEC that year. We didn't get in a large bid either. We were done at the end of the last game. So against Alabama, we played a 3-game series, lost 2, and we were done. So
I think
what's that?
I think there's so much to be said for everything you just mentioned, right? And some of the young athletes that I talk to now that are Division I guys that I hit with, that I talk to often, they kind of relate it to a job already, right? And I think I look at the big Power 5 schools, and some of these guys are like losing their love for the game, or just the fact that they get to remember that it's still a little boy's game when they're in college, because it's so high level. Like, I walked around the equipment room at BC, and they have anything that you could ask for. You need the Evo Show wristband, you need the the shin guard, the whatever. Like, you have access to everything, and they're so like, I can't even see wanting to go from Division I to the minor leagues at this point, because in the minors you don't have access to all the stuff you can have at one of the big Power 5. So it's pretty crazy.
You're so right. And it's we have a nice facility here, even at Fairfield. We've got a new nice little stadium. We got a big indoor hitting place. We got a great locker room. We got great weight rooms, everything. But it's like, at the end of the day, we're showing around 2 recruits today, and at the end of the day you say, hey, we got great facilities. We're going to take care of you. You're going to have all the opportunity you need to succeed academically and athletically. But we don't want you to come here because we have nice uniforms and nice facility. We want you to come here because you feel comfortable here and you can work at your craft here and get a great education. We don't want you to come here and be a pretty boy because you like our facilities and our gear and our, if that's why you're coming here, we do not want you, and you won't work out here. So you ought to look at some other school. That's the way I end a lot of recruiting visits, and some kids will get turned off by that. And those are the kids you don't want. And we want the kids to say, no, coach, I want the great education. I want to get my ass kicked, and I want to be good, and I want to be around good players, and we want to go to regionals and beyond. So that's what the kid, we want, that comes back with that reply.
That's why I think it's a testament to what you've built there, because it reflected itself. It manifested itself in the way you guys played. The one thing I said to Bobby when we were watching the game down there, and it was so cool to be watching you guys play against Arizona State, and the traditional stuff that I see when at least in the last 10 years ago maybe, but now it's obviously progressing. But when I would watch a Northeast school play against a school like Arizona State, or any of the big Power 5s from the Pac-12, from the Big Ten, well, not necessarily Big Ten, but the SEC, is usually you get intimidated by the name on the jersey, right? You get intimidated by that school. And I think watching you guys, it was apparent that you were not intimidated by them. And obviously getting down in game 1 of the regional to a school like Arizona State and saying, no, we're okay. We're just going to keep playing the game, and then climb back into it and putting yourself in a position to win the game late. If it weren't for a hit here or there, like, you were in a position to get to 1-0. So that
I thought we were up by 2 runs in the 8th inning with the same pitcher on the mound, Mike Sansone, the first game Friday afternoon. We're in the same position, and then on Sunday at 1:00 we're playing them again, and we actually had Sansone on the mound, same score, 2-run lead. It was a 3-run lead, then it went to a 2-run lead, and they had the same hitters up as Friday. And I'm telling my assistants, I go, we're in the exact same situation we were Friday night. And our pitching coach who calls the game goes, and they got the same hitters up, coach. So it was interesting that we had the chance to win either game, and we at least closed it out the last game. And, you know, our guys did a good job at that. You're right, Chris. They didn't get intimidated. And we schooled them on that too. It's like, don't complain to the umpires. You're going to get screwed on anything. Pitchers, you're going to have a narrower plate. You're going to have to get the guy swinging sometimes to strike him out, you know. And that's just the way the umpiring was. It wasn't against us. It was just, you know, they knew who we were. They knew who Texas and Arizona State were. And it would be a lot better show if those two were in the finals, not us. You know, it would be a little better show for ESPN. So it was interesting, and our players did suck it up. They played hard. They didn't care. We were behind 5-0 the second game that we came back and won. So, and that was the pocket game where, you know, the guy umpire, you know, keeps everybody there and then thinks about it and huddles up and says, no, I'm going to move the guys up on their bases, which you had a choice to keep them there or move them up. And, of course, you know, not something you go out and get kicked out of the game for, certainly. But it's, you know, he had a choice.
Let's talk more about this whole NCAA run that you guys went on. You obviously had an awesome year. You have one loss in the regular season, I
We
believe?
had one loss in conference play.
Yeah. And then got bounced in the conference tournament, needed an at-large bid to get in. I thought it was awesome that they did that. I was worried for a minute that they were going to pull the rug on you guys. But what was the experience like to go through the bid? You guys saw the reaction of you guys.
Yeah, as we know, at-large bids don't come out of the Northeast very often. They might come out of a BC, they might come out of a St. John's or a UConn, but that's it. You know, we don't get at-large or even considered for one. So we got a lot of interest and a lot of people with eyes on us when we're 28-0, the only undefeated left in the country by a long shot, and we got a lot of interest right there. And I know an ex-assistant of mine that's a Stetson coach right now. The AD at Stetson's the head of that at-large committee. So I would kind of call him and say, hey, what's going on? And he would say, my AD tells me every 10 minutes we start off our meetings is about Fairfield, about what if. You know, what if they don't win their tournament? What do we do if they're 36-2, you know? And they're number 2 RPI rating in the country, but they haven't played out of conference. How do we deal with that? So, you know, he would tell me the best thing for college baseball is for you guys to lose in the finals. And he said, don't take it the wrong way, Bill, but that's what he told me. And then after we lost in the finals, I said, you jinxed us, you son of a gun, you know, and now we got a tough decision to make. So it didn't seem to be too tough because we were a 3 seed, not a 4 seed. So we weren't the last consideration for by no means. So, but we had so much interest early on with our undefeated streak so long. And then after we got beat, it kind of took a little bit eyes off us, but then we were still only lost 1 the rest of the league play. And then to get to the finals, I don't know, Bobby, answer your question. I don't know if we had been knocked out in the first 2 or 3 games. I don't know if we would have got the at-large. But getting to the finals, and the team that beat us, Ryder, was like I think they were a 5 seed, 4 seed. Everything was just working out for them, which good for them. Everything was working out. Everything they did was perfect. So they had 14 hit home runs all year, and they hit 5 against Signor, our 3rd, 4th starter. So, you know, it's crazy. Good for them. But if we hadn't got to the finals, it would have been a little more interesting, I think. Yeah. So, but, you know, we're still, as you could tell by the ESPN video, we're still pretty excited to get the at-large because it never goes to conferences like the MAC. It goes to the big guys. So
the first time ever there were 2 teams from the conference to be selected because
first at-large ever taken out of the MAC, and first time an at-large other than maybe a UConn or BC, I think, taken from the Northeast. So that was kind of cool, and the guys are pretty excited, obviously, about that. So, but you know what it did is it legitimized our season. Even getting to the finals of the regional, that's what I told our guys after. It legitimized your record. It legitimized all the big schools that were saying, well, they don't play at a conference, so you can't count them as a team that should be, you know, given the notoriety in the rankings. Because they don't play anybody. And I understand that, you know, but that's the schedule that we had laid before us. not like we could choose to go play somebody else to test ourselves. We just couldn't do it. The conference wasn't allowing it. So, to get an at-large bid, you had to win 90%, 98% of your games or something stupid, So it was what we got laid before us, and the guys did a tremendous job. And they really legitimized our team and our effort and our year by doing that well in the regional and eliminating Arizona State, who's we all know as older coaches, not as old as me, but I remember Arizona State as they were the team. And then Arizona and some other big schools were the teams, UCLA and those teams. So it's nice to have a little guy beat a giant like that.
Yeah.
So to that point, right? Like normally, and I meant to ask you this down in Texas. Was there? I mean, obviously, I think more often than not, mid-major Northeast schools, right? Or your season is to win your conference championship and get to the regional. Was it almost more satisfying to lose in the conference tournament and have all these firsts happen and have a first at-large bid for the conference, a first at-large bid for the school, and so many other cool things happen? Was it almost better that way?
As you look back on it, at-large was an amazing thing just to get one. But as you know, Chris, also, we don't go into any game thinking, geez, if we lose this, it'll be better.
Yeah.
So that's not what I thought, and we weren't happy. We thought if any team was going to beat this Rider in the finals, it was going to be us, and I thought we could beat them twice because we were ready to come back with our first starter to the second game of that, and Signor cruised through, I think, 4 innings of just mowing them down, and we said we're gonna win this game, and we're gonna go to the next game, and we're gonna win the automatic bid. So, and there was no guarantee at that time we were gonna get the at-large. So certainly we wanted to win the MAC outright, wouldn't leave no doubt to go to the regional. But I think it was really good for college baseball. It was really good for small schools, Northeast schools. I got a lot of texts, a lot of emails from fellow coaches because I've been in the Northeast my whole career, just cheering for us because we were towing the road for the deal here for all the coaches and all the programs that we don't get at-larges, we don't get looked at, we don't even get taken seriously sometimes. So that was we legitimized a lot of programs, not just ours, I think.
Awesome.
What impact has it had on the program so far in terms of recruiting, in terms of just has the program felt the impact of it already?
Yeah, and certainly the NCAA opened up recruiting June 1, and we were back 6 days later from the regional, and it's awful nice going out recruiting and people know exactly who you are. They know the success you had. All eyes were on us. If you were just an athletic fan, eyes were on us. Say nothing about baseball people, or like you guys at least know somebody that coaches or plays or something. I mean, we had all eyes on us because we were a small team and we had achieved such a record that people were really watching and interested to see how we do in our conference and then how we do it against the national team. So we collected a lot of interest. So when you go out recruiting now, it's huge on just people know who you are. When you tell a recruit, hey, we got most everybody back from this last team, and we're looking for a couple transfers to piece our puzzle together. We could be very good this next year if the draft doesn't hurt us, and we could, have another good year. You want to be a part of this. I mean, they know who you are. They know what you did, and you want me to be a piece of your puzzle to, maybe do this again next year? Shit, yeah, I'm on board. I'll come to grad school for a year and join this parade here. So, it was a different recruiting after we got back. And it's certainly looking for the young kids, the juniors and sophomores right now. They know who you are, so it's made a big difference.
Well, I'm pushing all the guys that I know that are like looking at ACC schools and Power Fives. I'm like, no, just go to Fairfield, man.
Attaboy, Chris. Attaboy.
Hey, I'm working for you. I can be like your quality control coach in the Northeast.
Okay.
I had that role at Boston College for a few years now. Two of my best friends left there. So like now I'm open. I'm a free agent. So I'm Fairfield all the way.
Right.
I just need like a shirt. I like shirts, and I know you guys are Nike, so that fits well.
Make sure they're like Tewksbury now. Make sure they're not quite good enough to go to an Ivy League school, but they're a pretty good student that can get into here. Okay. And make sure their underwear is either white or a solid color. Okay.
No Dartmouth underwear. Got
There
it.
you
No
go.
Ivy.
Oh, you're on board. I like you already.
All right, let's shift gears a little bit. So you've been coaching for a while in the college world. Technology's changed, the bats have changed. What are the biggest adjustments, or like even in the last 5 years? What are the biggest shifts that you've seen with players coming in, with player development? And the last question that our producer asked is, what are you looking for? What qualities are you looking for in hitters now compared to previously, if it's changed at all?
You know, all us coaches talk about it on the road, and we say it's just so hard to find hitters, legit hitters, guys that can barrel the ball jumps off their bat different, better than the other kids you're looking at. It's so hard to find hitters nowadays, it seems like. It's easier to find a left-handed pitcher than it is a legit hitter that you think can help you his freshman year, And it's the BB Corp bats that came in years ago, took the offense down a lot. And then my old mentor, Jack Leggett, got on the rampage about lowering the seam and making the seam the minor league seam ball so it'll carry a little more. So that brought it up another maybe 15% with a little bit more offense. But it's just hard finding hitters nowadays. I don't know what it is, but, I don't know if they don't practice enough or they certainly get all the technical advice they can ever find because they're all paying $100 an hour for lessons, and they got this guy and that guy all giving them advice, and they come to your school and they're smart enough here not to say, well, my coach from home said that, that lasts about a half a second. So or an older guy says, don't tell coach that your other coach said that this should happen, or something like that. But it's been a big change. I think it's laid more skill development or skills you're looking for is speed. I like to get kids that can run because that puts pressure on the defense, of course, brings them to another level of timing that they might not be used to, and it creates errors. We like to really move up on balls in the dirt on our bases. We did that multiple times to opponents. We did it, and even in the tournament on turf, which is a little tougher to do. But we like the kids that, if you can't find all the hitters, you look for the kids that can have potential to hit, a better swing path, more weight room, strength gaining, those things. But they can run and they can play defense, and then throwing a little further away. But the throw is nice too, but a good arm. But those are important things. They can play defense because that plays every day. They can pitch because pitching is always the most important thing. And you probably heard me say this before, Bobby, because I've said it for years, is pitching is by far the most important thing, and then defense, and then hitting. As much as we all like to hit, and all three of us, hitters first, we'd say probably, then defensive guy. But it's the third most important thing. You're not going to come and hit every day. But you can pitch most every day, and you can play defense at a high percentage of also every game. And that's going to keep you right in games. And the close games that we won this year, or one of them in the bottom of the last inning, was 4 or 5 times this year. And it's because we pitched better than them late. We got some clutch hits, might have been lucky, but we at least put ourselves in that position to win the game. And pitching and defense did that, So that's the important thing. And I think if you follow that type of thinking, I think you're going to be in games, and that's the type of team we built here at Fairfield, and we hit better than we have lately in the last 3 or 4 years, but as a team. But the most important thing by far was just pitching and defense. We played solid the whole year in those 2 categories.
Sounds like an eerily similar formula to what people used to tell me growing up, and over the course of probably the last 100 years is pitch and play D, and then you just figure out how to score runs. And I think that's, honestly, in following you guys, like I started following probably earlier than most because obviously, through my connection with Bobby to you and having met you before. And I actually have a kid who's in the MAC at Quinnipiac. We have a guy that we know. And so I was paying attention. I'm like, they just don't lose. And I'm thinking you're buggy whipping everybody, but instead it was, you're finding ways to win games late, which is even more of a testament to the program and to the culture and to what the kids were capable of, because now you do it once and you start to, okay, we can do this again. And then you just start to believe before you know it. And then I think that's how it becomes repeatable. But you just said it, like pitch and play defense, and then we'll just figure out how to score more points than the other team. I don't think the formula's changed much. I think it's, you know, we've got some stuff in our society now that's trying to make us believe otherwise. It might be wrong, but
and to be honest, Arizona State, I mean, they were phenomenal defensively, and they could swing it. They swung it, we thought, better than Texas, and they had proved it in their numbers that year, but they just didn't pitch, you know. And so the most important thing, they had a couple injuries in their starters, and it thinned out their whole pitching staff. So that's what they didn't do, and that what hurt them, certainly. But boy, they could swing it, and they were so athletic on defense. But you know what? Our guys wanted it bad, and our guys were working their tails off. In the 7th and 8th inning, you know, I'm looking over their infield from coaching third, and they're talking to each other like it's a midweek game. You know, it was like no urgency, no. And I'm thinking either they think they know they're going to come back, or keep the lead and win, and they just know it's going to happen and they're cocky, or they just don't care. And I don't know which way it went, but which what they were thinking. But our guys are zeroed in, and we're going to fucking come back and win this game. We're going to be after it. You know, we're going to be, you know. You guys. I mean, you guys were there. I mean, our guys were laser focused. We're going to win this game.
That was the way it looked. When the kid hit in the first game, when the kid you lead off homer, as soon as he came up and when he hit it, I said he got him, and I could just tell like the attitude in both dugouts was completely different, right? Yeah. And even to your point, as it got late, they just kind of were like, whatever. And, you know, even listen to the parents in the stands, like we were sitting next to a couple parents, and that you could tell they were starting to get like a little bit panicky and getting pissed at the umpire and shit. And I'm like your kids just kind of whatever. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's what happens. But I was so impressed, proud, fanboy, whatever you want to call me. I was fully on the wagon. I'm going to stay on it now.
All right. Good. We're looking for a right-handed hitting outfielder, another middle infielder, and always left-handed pitchers. Write that down, Chris. There you go.
I've got my note.
I got my notes.
So we tend to be a little hitting heavy with our stuff. I want to dig into more of the qualities that you look for. Like if you look at a successful college hitter, what qualities do they have? Like what makes them stand out? What makes them good?
When my assistants or I go out, and we're talking all the time, we're comparing things. And what I ask them when I don't see the kid that they see, you know, and they don't see maybe the kid I saw, or maybe I'm cross-checking them, so I'm seeing. But things I ask them when I want to know about the hitter, one, who's he look like on our team? Who's he hit like? So at least all three of us know that, what he's talking about. And how is his selection? What is his selection? Did he see spin? Because we've all had guys on our teams that they crush it in BP and they crush a fastball, but as soon as you know he can't hit spin, that's what he's going to get 85% of the time. And if he can't recognize it as a 17-year-old or 16-year-old, many times he can't recognize it as a 25-year-old. You know, he just doesn't see it as much. Some get a little better at it, but some don't. Too many don't get much better at it. And so I want to see certainly his swing path and all that. I want to see his bat speed. But I want to see those mental things that you can't teach, or it's difficult to teach, is selection. Can he recognizing off-speed pitches? Can he see that? Because if he's a big power hitter and stuff, he's going to see a bunch of off-speed pitches. You know, our first baseman this year, he was a transfer from Union College, Sean Cullen. And he was going to hit 4-hole for us. And this kid, phenomenal first baseman. He's all-time hits leader there, I think too short of it, but it was a COVID year and he played 4 games. So he would have crushed the record. So we could see him on video, and the coach said he can definitely hit in the middle of any Division I lineup. So we get the kid. He goes to grad school for 1 year, but the kid sees off speed. And that's what he saw 70% of the time. But the kid couldn't hit a fastball. But all he saw is off-speed pitches because he's huge, he's a big kid, and he's a 4-hole hitter. So we got to throw him off-speed pitches, right? Yeah. And the kid rip. And they didn't figure it out till about halfway through the year. He started seeing a lot more fastballs, and he was taking the fastball a lot. And it was funny because it's like, you're a big bastard, and they want to throw you off-speed stuff. Because that's the way people do it.
Hey, Dante Bichette told us a story about Andres Galarraga. Same thing. Andres Galarraga couldn't hit a fastball to save his soul. This guy got like 400 homers in the show. So, like, I mean, he figured out. They told him, he said in those Colorado teams, they said, hey, Big Cat, like, just open up your stance and make it look like you can hit fastballs in. And he'd go, okay, Poppy. And then he hit like 52 homers that year or something like that. Because they just kept – the ball he hit – Galarraga still has that ball at the old Marlins Park down in Florida that went like on the second set of turf carbon seats. So,
Yeah.
something, right? Just, hey, make it look like you can. That's in and of itself. That's just like part of the game of chess, right? You got to make them believe something. Yeah.
Now with all the college teams, with 80% of them have synergy now, they just research it before the game, and they figure it out. But it took half a year for them to figure out that, geez, he doesn't hit fastballs that well. Unless and then we're trying to get him, hey, cheat. You got to cheat on it. You got to look for it and be on time with it. After he fouls 5 foul balls over your first base dugout, it's like, then they throw him a curveball and he rips it over the fence or up the middle or something. It's like, thank you.
Yeah, that same thing happened to me. Like I in AAA, the year I'm like winning the MVP in AAA, and they're just trying to thumb. And then I go to the big leagues, and they're like, "Nah, here, hit this." And I was like, "Whoa, what is that? A fastball down the middle for strike one?" I was like, "Come on, guys, it's too easy." But then I hit 194 my first year.
So to answer your question, Bobby, is exactly, you're looking for the things you can't change. The things that are difficult to change, I should say. And because you go see a kid one time and he doesn't barrel a ball or two at his level, and you kind of, but you see the kid twice and he might hit one ball hard, but the kid's got a great average. So you got to kind of put that into perspective. That's why a hitter, you got to see 4 or 5 games. And, in the NCAA, you're only supposed to see them 4 times, evaluation. So you got to make a quick study on them. And I think those things that you find that you can't change easily, or they're the most difficult to change, the kid's got to have that already in his queue. He's got to have it in his skills segment. So those are the things that I do to try to find, and a kid that likes to compete. It's tough to find kids now that really want to compete. They play 150 games a year. You ask an AAU kid, how'd the game go? Well, I got 2 hits. Well, did you win? Yeah, I think so. He doesn't know. All he knows is he got 2-3 hits. So you got a little selfishness playing into that. So you like kids that say, yeah, coach, we won. And you got to draw out of him how many hits he got, because he cares more about the team. So finding those kids are tough to find nowadays that just walk in the door as a team player and will sacrifice late innings for you and get the thing down, because, these AAU kids, they never bunt. It just the base running, the bunting, it's part of the game that's lost. So, you like to have these guys that'll give themselves up, move runners up second with no outs, or get the job done for the team, and not just going to hurt my average, coach, if I got to do that. So these are important things that you look at in the college player, because, the kid's a draftable kid. I'd rather take a college kid that'll never be drafted, but will give you his heart and soul.
Awesome. In terms of hitter, I guess, athleticism, how much do you rely on the strength department and the strength coaches to say you get a kid that has the compete, has the bat to ball, has the strike zone awareness, has the spin recognition, his bat speed's not there, strength's not there?
Yeah.
I imagine that's just evaluating that kid and saying, hey, he might not be ready for 2 years, but he might be a good fit for the program. And
that's a lot of kids we get at our level. If the kid's got 4 tools, we're not getting them. He's already picked off his sophomore year. So we're getting that junior commit that is, still weak. That's why the bigger schools aren't on him. So if we can get we have tremendous strength coaches here. They do a great job. We got a brand new 2-year-old weight room, which has got a nutrition center in it. It's phenomenal. If you see it online, it's awesome. And we have 2 full-time strength coaches that do a great job with our guys. And it makes a huge difference. If if we could shorten up that swing and make them shorter and quicker and catch up to that better fastball they're going to see in Division I. And they're already a good defensive player, got the right makeup we talked about. Boy, if they can strengthen up and get a little more confidence in that box with a shorter swing, better path, make barrel contact more often. I mean, all of a sudden the guy's a lot more tool player and maybe could play at a better school, but he's a tremendous player here, and that's the kid we're looking for. So to answer your question, that strength level is a huge thing that if we, get them going before they get here, but get them going soon after, then by the second year, they're just not a defensive replacement, and you lose a kid to graduation or a draft or something, that kid's ready to go. So we're improving our depth every year. We feel like we have now kids that can jump in any different segment of the game, and we don't have such a drop off if a kid goes down by injury or the draft, and you're not. It's hard for us to fill in a kid that gets drafted. Our shortstop right now is probably the best chance to be drafted in this short round draft of 20 rounds. And, if we lose him, it's hard to replace a kid like that. It's hard to replace him with a kid that maybe 2 years younger or a year younger, just not as good. So that's an important, it's a bigger blow for us where the Power 5 schools, conferences, they know they're going to lose kids. They have a lot of their kids for 3 years or 2 years in a COVID year. So they know they're going to have to rebuild. So they're spending their money by the time they're a sophomore.
So what does that look like for you guys? Are you mostly looking at juniors? Is your process kind of starting with the junior after you've kind of weeded out those verbals to the big Power 5s? Or is it similar in the sense that you might attack a kid when he's a sophomore and, really say, hey, we're really interested?
We're trying to get kids, if we can get them committed to us their junior year, that's about where we're at right there. You get the BCs and the UConns in our area and St. John's, you get a lot of their commitments maybe sophomore year. You get them really early. They have huge prospect days. You get 100 kids at it, and you get every sophomore that can throw the ball over 85 going to them, in the Northeast. So they get the first look at them. We have a prospect day, and we might have 25, 30 kids, and you're looking at how many number, but it's a smaller percentage. And the ability to find that really diamond in the rough of that skilled kid in 25 is going to be a lot less than 100. So they get an early look at them, and they're such a big school. They can, got all the big promises. You might be drafted here. You're going to fly all over the country. You're going to play this big schedule. And by the way, you might go to school once in a while.
Okay, and you might never pitch either or play.
And you might be number 25 on their pitching staff or number 3 at their shortstop. So here you're going to be number 2 your first year, but you're going to get a chance because these other kids can graduate. So, so it's a shorter time to give their opportunity at a place like us. So that's what we're trying to get these kids understanding when they're a sophomore or junior, that you want to play quicker and a better chance to play, we're the place for you. If you want to not know if you're going to play, when you're going to play, and things. And what's thrown that out of, to be honest, everybody gets another year now. So how many kids you're going to have come back for the 5th year? And how many kids you're going to get transfer in for their 5th year? So this could logjam a little bit of those kids that are coming up through. So what we've done here at Fairfield is we're lowering the number of kids that are coming in the freshman class, because we think we're going to retain maybe 3 5th-year kids out of the senior class. So instead of going after 9 to 11 recruits a year as a freshman, we're after maybe 5 or 6. So we're not overloading our team, and we're trying to stay in the 35 to 40 range. Pretty soon, in 3 or 4 years, the NCAA is going to bring us back down to 35 roster limit. So I like a smaller roster. It gives everybody an opportunity to play a little bit more than I know a friend of mine that coaches down south had 52 on his roster. And I think that was crazy. Similar to a lot of other big schools. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Crazy. I don't understand it. And I think that was part of, I ended up at Assumption, which, it was what it was at the time. I wasn't very good in high school. So, but I just remember as a kid, I wanted to go somewhere where I had an opportunity to play. And
Yep.
Assumption told me that was going to be real. I wanted to play as a freshman. And I mean, look, it all ended up working out for me. But I think I see some of these situations now where the rosters are getting so big. I can't imagine not dressing or not traveling as a freshman just because,
Yeah.
in
this transfer rule now, I mean, Chris, you imagine you at Assumption, you're lighting it up now, your sophomore or junior year, and you can transfer to a Division I and not sit out, or Division I to Division I. If Bobby wanted to go to his dream school of Dartmouth, he could have transferred there right away, without even a sit-out year. I mean, that the NCAA needs to stop that, because we've had numerous kids in our conference picked off by the Power 5 schools or the next level school, because kids, I don't like our field. I don't like we don't have a lot of talent on my team. I'm the best player, the best pitcher, and th're getting picked off because they're going on the transfer portal and they're getting picked off. That has to stop, or else the mid-majors are just going to we're going to be the recruiting grounds for the Power 5s just to pick a kid off.
There's so many unintended consequences by like the rule changes that they make. And, obviously from the perspective of the transfer portal, like it's becoming so easy to transfer, right? I hear so many guys that are just going in and, I'm just going to leave. I'm just transferring D1 to D1. And obviously COVID threw a wrench in everything, and you wanted players to be able to have an opportunity, but man, it's a hairy world out there.
I mean, what's happening is we're going back to 20 years ago when they used to send the volunteer assistant to the Cape, and he would just recruit the smaller schools' best players and bring them back to the, SEC, ACC, Pac-10, bring them back to that. And we're getting back to that now because they wanted to push the bigger schools wanted to push the date to through July of not having to sit out a year. It's July 1st right now. They had to be on the portal before it, or they would have to sit out a year. So they wanted to push that back for that reason. Give them more time to see our guys play in the NECBL or the Cape or something, and do more time to evaluate them so they get the right kid off the portal, or hopefully not, but talk to them illegally and get them to go. So
I had that experience myself too. This was 20 years ago now almost, but like I went to the NECBL. And we were going through a coaching change at Assumption going into my senior year. And there were a lot of, I won't name any names, but there were a lot of people knocking down the door because I was just coming off a, borderline conference player of the year. Maybe I should have just gone to UVM. We would have been. Could I have played there?
By your third, maybe your second year, Bobby, you think you could have played and helped us a little bit?
We had a guy named Barry Chamberlain that played.
There you go.
He's bigger than you. He hit too.
You could have made me an outfielder sooner. You know how you were saying before you went to the outfield because you could run and throw? Yep. I couldn't do either one of those things. They just put me in the outfield anyway because I could hit. So
we would have had a tough time cracking that lineup.
We might have put you in left field, probably a little further down the order, maybe 7 , Bobby. I think we could have. Or 8.
Yeah, that's fine.
I would have got all my fastballs then.
Yeah, would have got all my heaters. That was perfect. Yeah. As long as I didn't have to face Merchant and live VPs throwing.
That's right. Merch would have thrown you that good snapper breaking ball, and it would have locked you up.
Chris played with Derek Miller with the Mill Seat All-Americans too, so he's got some. He knows the Vermont way.
We did have some pitchers.
Miller came to the NECBL.
We had some good pitchers, Bobby, of course, had a lot of competition with Ray Montanez. So Ray, kept him on the bench for a little while, but about one practice.
Ray pops up on my Facebook feed every once in a while. I still keep in touch with him a little bit.
That's good.
A lot of guys.
He was a heck of a second baseman.
I ended up being a pretty decent shortstop too. How about that? That's funny. I have one more question about the recruiting stuff before we.
Yeah.
What is your most reliable source for players? There's showcases, there's camps on campus, there's the social media thing, perfect game events. Like parents are just throwing money at events without really knowing the best way to invest in it or make. There's so many ways to spend money to try to get exposure. Nobody knows what they're doing. Do you have a sense like going on flat ground on Twitter?
It's a great question because us Division I coaches get pounded by all those things you just mentioned all the time. And one you forgot was alumni. Alumni emailing you saying, hey, this kid in my hometown can really play. And, he's a kid I think would fit in great at Fairfield, which is great to hear from all those sources. But qualifying them is so important. What source are they coming from? What experience have they had and how much they know your program is two different things. You know, they know the kid. He's maybe their neighbor or their player that plays for them, but that coach doesn't know our program. He doesn't know our talent level. He doesn't know even our position of availability or that, and they're making these calls. So we have to sift through all that. And you can't discount it as, I'm never going to listen to this type of source. You have to take it all in. Example this, our first baseman, the Cullen kid I mentioned earlier. I got a text at 10:30 at night from an alum that is one of our board members of our alumni group that really helps support our program. And he said, a neighbor down the street has a kid that's at Union. He's almost an all-time hit leader there, and he's looking to go to a Division I school 1 year. 10:30 at night text. Well, I get back to him and said, I'll check him out tomorrow morning. I get on the site, see that it's legit. He hit like 400 3 years in a row at Union. He's a first baseman, which we're looking for, but the kid stole 14 bases. He's 6'3", 220. I mean, he's a big kid that can run. And then I call their head coach at Union and talk to him about the kid, raves about him. He said he's got a competitive edge that's off the charts. And so this kid, and the next day I call him, the kid applies, he's admitted. This all happened in 3 days. Off a tip from an alum that was a neighbor of a kid that went to Union, Division III kid. So most 10:30 texts talking to you about a Division III kid, you usually just turn your phone over and plug it in and go to bed, you know? So, you know, this is the way that came about. So you never know what's going to turn over as roses, but 90% of them aren't the right call. So you just got to investigate it more. There's a lot more video out there on kids that you can ever see now. So that's a good thing. And last year we all became, you know, experts in video analysis ourselves because that's all we could do. So now it's learning about the kid's makeup, things that you can't tell from a video, you know. So that's the best thing about watching a kid play, watching him how he deals with his teammates, how he deals with his coach. When you take him out as a kid, freaking throwing his glove in the dugout and look all pissy and selfish. So you find out way more about a kid watching him. But all these different avenues of recruiting, you got to utilize them all. And it certainly helps to have the notoriety we just got and stuff to at least, before it's, we wouldn't hear from an AAU coach unless he was a second tier level player. He would send all those to the bigger schools in the Northeast. Yeah, I'll tell you about another one, coach. This kid can really help you. It's like, what do you mean you? You mean a second tier down school, you mean? Yeah, he's a real good student, and you really like the kid. He's a great kid. That's usually the telltale, certainly, like, kid isn't that good, but he's a great kid. I love the kid, and you'd be a great school for him. So hopefully we're getting the first call instead of the second call.
Heck yeah, let's go.
Yeah,
let's go.
Right. Yeah. So, recruiting, you're limited a little bit because we are the MAC conference, so it's a very good conference, but it's certainly not the ACC or that which is going to play some big schools. So, but it's a great conference for playing good competitive baseball, not traveling that far. Which Bobby at Vermont, we were on a bus. I felt like for 22 years I was on a bus half my life. Everything is far away. Here we're right in the middle of most of the schools in the MAC, except for a Buffalo school or two. So it's a 2-hour trip. The midweek is cake. I mean, we got Yale and Sacred Heart. We got St. John's and Stony Brook and everybody within an hour from us, So it's close by. So you're not on a bus. You're not traveling, which, as you know, is phenomenal. Play a lot more baseball with a lot less travel and be back at campus at 6:30 at night. That's phenomenal. So
the idea of traveling used to be sexy and cool. And then once you do it a lot, you just go.
In flights. I mean, buses are bad enough, but flights, flight travel is not fun, especially with your 40, 45, 50-man crew going through a security check. And, I mean, it's just ugly. So, we like that situation for us here, for those convenient things that can allow you to do what you like to do, not more time spending what you don't like to do.
Yeah, that's great. All right, let's move on. Big news in the college world was the name, image, likeness stuff that's going on right now. I haven't read too much into it, but I know it's opened up. There's kids signing deals. Everybody's on Instagram saying, "Oh, I'm an athlete of this program and this program," and everybody's trying to make grabs at athletes right now. We talked a little bit before we started recording about how the big schools, like the Power Five school, the top tier players from a brand recognition standpoint are the ones that are going to get the most financial benefit out of it. How do you see this impacting the game in general? And is it going to be a factor at Fairfield?
I don't think it's going to be a big factor here. We might have kids getting $200-300 here and there for some local where they grew up or where their hometown is, some sponsor there. But, it's not like they're going to be showing the Fairfield F off or anything like that, which not legal. So, or in our uniform and stuff like that. So I think it's going to make a bigger impact, certainly at those Power Five schools that, we talked about before we went on the air here is, these schools that are getting all this notoriety in the World Series and the big schools that have been there, and their name is like a 5-year big leaguer now. Some of these guys that got so much notoriety, they could really change the whole landscape of making money as an athlete through your name. So I could see a bigger change there. I don't see a real big change at my level here at this level, but you never know. It's brand new. It just started. Baseball just started in June. Everybody else in July. So we'll see. It's going to be real interesting to follow, and making sure your kids follow the rules so they're not doing anything illegal. It's going to jeopardize any eligibility for them. So it's going to be interesting. Our compliance people are a little nervous about it too. They're right on top of it and trying to learn as they go. So she's talked to our compliance person here, has talked to our team about it, and they'll keep informing them as they go and make sure that they talk through your compliance people before you sign anything or do anything. Certainly. So that's the safest information you can give a kid.
I was going to ask if the school was doing anything for the athletes because it's kind of a Wild West out there.
It is. They're sending the rules out as they get them. They're sending the rules out to make sure they're following them. But we've only had a couple kids even really mention it or look to use their name and get it out there and getting sponsors, I think. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be interesting, but I can't see it making a huge impact at our level.
It's so interesting to me. I've been trying to put myself back in 2002, 2003 as a college player. Wish I had a couple more dollars in my bank account, just buy some batting gloves or get a new glove, Rawlings or something. And it's interesting to me, like the impact on a guy like Leiter or Rocker from Vanderbilt versus a small school where maybe you're just trying to put some money in your pocket. You take a girl on a date or something. It's interesting, and I'm curious. I'm very interested to see how it's going to play out with just the personal branding element of it and how that's going to play with a team. Because now kids are, they want clout on Instagram. They're doing bat flips in games for Instagram for the highlight, not because they're trying to win.
It's then they're getting drilled the next time up and wonder if it's really worth it.
That's the only thing I worry about, right? I would have definitely, as a college athlete, signed a deal with any place that served buffalo chicken and that had really good iced coffee. Those were like my two things that I really want. I would have been like, hey, you need me to sponsor you? Cool, get me free buffalo chicken for life, and we're good. But the thing that I worry about the most with all of this is, right, there's something so pure about college baseball, right? And I think that's what people are starting to recognize now as, like, the information age has kind of opened itself up. If 20 years ago, even Stony Brook made a run at the College World Series, I think it was probably 10 years ago now, just about.
I think it was 09. When was it? 11 or 12? 11 or 12.
And like that really didn't get like a ton of attention. I know there were people that watched what Fairfield did this year, and obviously the fact that you guys were undefeated as long as you were and had something to do with it. But I know people are paying more attention to the game, and I think that's, like, I love where college baseball is trending. The thing that I get scared of is, like, you take that, like, pure element of it's it's winning in college baseball, right? The experiences you remember are the winning. The experiences you remember are your teammates. And, like, look, at the end of the day, like, everybody's trying to get to the show and everybody's trying to get drafted and play at the next level. And I think that's good. I think that's apparent and fine with all players. You should want to be good. You should want to be the best player on your team. But there's something special about college baseball, about winning being the most important thing. And the only thing I fear is that the NIL stuff will just allow guys to start thinking a little bit more about themselves a little bit sooner. But I guess, like anything else, like, the responsibility remains on the coach's shoulders. So now you just got one more thing to worry about, coach. You just got one more thing you got to look out for. You know, it's I don't know. I'm scared of that, and I hope it doesn't happen, because I love the purity of college baseball. So, and I love watching Fairfield make runs at Arizona State and Texas, and, like, get out of my way, big boys, because here I come.
I would love to see teams doing, you know, like in Major League when they're doing the commercial where Willie Mays Hayes slides in, and, like, I would love to see teams banding together to get deals. I know the University of Miami football, all the players are getting like $6,000 from some MMA gym.
MMA gym. So.
Yeah. Most of the stuff I've read, though, is there's guys pulling together and rooting for each other. They know, in the football world, they know the quarterback's going to get the most play. The skill positions get the most attention in publicity. So they know that. It's like, if you don't like it, play better, I guess. Right.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. You're right. It's going to be, you know, those starting pitchers, the catcher that's, you know, is going to be seen a lot. You know, those positions they may go after. So it'll be interesting the way how far it comes down and who it really starts to help or affect or jeopardize. It could be all three of those things. Like you said, Chris.
Do you think it could affect any recruiting where, let's say, a school like Vanderbilt, who has the player development that they've got that pitching lab, really nice facilities, where they could say, hey, we've got a system for your NIL in place. So, you know, you can make more money playing at Vanderbilt, getting their player development, getting their food, getting their training, and you make more money than you would get in the minor leagues.
I hope not. I hope it's not that easy for them, but it is something to think about and worry about, that these schools will have sponsors almost set up, if you're coming here, to turn money toward these kids and before they even arrive on campus, or certainly in the recruiting process, which will be even worse. So
there's no cap on it, right? There's no cap on how much a kid can make.
I don't think there is right now. I mean, we're just brought aware of this like a month ago. So
it'll start getting scary when a kid's making more than his head coach.
Yeah.
Start getting really scary, because I mean, you see in the big leagues, right? Like, guys are making way more than the coaches. So at the end of the day, how much authority do the coaches have over the players in the big league? And again, that's part of the purity of, like, amateur sports and youth baseball. And, you know, sorry, my mom's calling. That's part of what that's the only thing I just get worried about is, like, at a young age, you don't necessarily know how to handle just, like, the hierarchy of it and, like, not thinking that you're bigger than it all. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting situation. That's built. I can't imagine a school like, you know, the big time schools not having something in place for players. It's almost like it's the traditional duffel bag of money. It's just, this is above board now.
Yeah. And it'll probably be, you know, the group that leaves the school, the new group coming in that's committed will probably take over those sponsors. It'll be like apartments, you know, the new group coming in takes over apartments, you know, of the group going out. If the landlord likes you, you're gonna get that same apartment for the next crew of kids. It's like sponsorships. Yeah. It could be just a turnover, which for the recruiting world, that'd be unbelievable to have that set up.
Well, think about it like a LSU football. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but if they have a channel in place where boosters, instead of giving boosters to some, you know, closed door sketchy situation, they can just get players under contract, pay them $300,000 a year.
It's scary. It's scary the door this is opening. It really is. It's scary that from boosters to companies and stuff. Oh, it could be a nightmare, and it's already a nightmare for the NCAA, who's losing control already. And you know, football, as we know, pretty soon is probably not even going to be an NCAA regulated game. So,
It's
I hate to see baseball go down that street. But like you said, Chris, it's taken away the purity of the game and the essence of why kids are playing. But when the kids need money and it's out there, they're not gonna say no. That's for sure. And Bobby, if you were now 18, 17 years old, you knew what you knew now about doing this type of thing. I mean, I know you'd be all over it. I'd have to reschedule practice because you'd be, on the internet looking for sponsors and talking to, you definitely would have found your way to the bench, I'm sure.
It's tough not to. I mean, you can't blame the players for it. It's an opportunity that's just sitting there for you.
Yeah.
It can't be the low hanging fruit though, right? The low hanging fruit still has to be the education, the opportunity to play the game. And I think it's important now for role models, mentors, parents to remind their kids of what they're actually chasing. Because I guess it's the same thing with the societal stuff now. Where are you chasing Instagram fame, or are you chasing?
How about that?
But Dad, I can make $300 a month just doing this on the side.
But think about the dad of the 8-year-old who's building his social media profile so that he's got clout when he's in college.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Well,
all right, we got some quick hits. These are just quick topics. First one, Daniel Camarena, first hit in the big leagues. He's a pitcher, grand slam.
Relief pitcher.
Relief pitcher, first hit, first homer. It's a grand slam off Max Scherzer. Is there a more improbable first hit in the big leagues? It's wild. This is Daniel Nava, except you're a relief pitcher.
Yeah.
First pitch. It was a two strike down and in. This is like the definition of blackout swing. Had no idea what happened. Just stuck the bat down, hit a homer. Yeah,
you guessed right. The pitch was where it was supposed to be. Other than the bullpen catcher, I think that is the most improbable.
Yeah, that's just stars in alignment right there. Because you're not even supposed to get an at-bat. You're a relief pitcher. You maybe get an at-bat every 3 years.
How many? I don't even know how many. Well, I'll have to get on Twitter and ask this. How many relief pitchers even get at-bats in a year? And to hit a homer off Scherzer.
Yeah. Cy Young winner to hit it off him. I mean, come on.
There's only 4 guys that have ever
hit.
Did
you hear Orsillo's reaction? Orsillo's got the broadcast out there. It was ridiculous. I've never heard Orsillo Orsillo gets animated when Tatis hits him. He was like, it's just sheer shock. The whole stadium was pretty out of control. It was cool.
Orsillo makes fantastic calls. He's one of my favorite. Good move by him going to San Diego, just chilling out there versus Boston.
Come on. We hate to lose him.
Yeah.
Hey, San Diego's really nice.
Next question. Next question.
Ronald Acuna, just ACL is gone. Just absolute tear, just full tear of the ACL. It's just sad. Sad for the game. He's such a talented player. He's a guy I would want to see play live. There's a handful of guys like Acuna, Tatis Jr., Vlad Jr., Shohei.
It happens. It's part of the game. It happens. He'll come back next year, be stronger than ever. He'll be back after it.
Who's your favorite Major League player right now, Coach?
Now that Pedroia is retired.
That's a very telling answer, but keep going.
Yeah. But guys like that,
David Fletcher, he's a scrappy little guy.
He is. I don't have to be little here, too. Just scrappy and play the game the right way. And it's tougher finding those guys now.
Yes.
It is
Fletcher's
tougher.
On like a 25-game hitting streak right now, by the way.
Yeah. It's just like watching Bryce Harper. I just couldn't warm up to him. It wasn't my era, the type of deal he puts out. But he's a hell of a player. But I just and has he become the player everybody thought he would because of that makeup? I think that speaks for itself a little bit. What do you think, Chris?
The best players they're just not warriors anymore. They're not like. There were so many warriors in the game, right? If you think about what Nolan Ryan represented, like that dude was gonna take food off your table and he wasn't letting you take it off his, and would be like bloodied, and like you just think of the guy that's like got blood and dirt on his uniform. Pete Rose, like style players, and Pedroia was probably the last representation of that. I think that's why I had so much respect for Dustin getting to play against him. And like, look, I played against Acuna, and in AAA, and I was just I don't know. Maybe I'm old. I don't know. Like, just,
Yeah.
maybe I'm old. Like the guys I can think of now, like a guy like Adam Frazier plays for the Pirates, and nobody's paying attention to him, but just casually rolls out 330. You mentioned Fletcher. Like, I respect dudes that get so much out of their bodies. Like, you were the epitome of this, Bobby. Here's a compliment. Here you go. Like, you got the most out of yourself that you could. Like, you figured out a way to be as good as you could be. I think that's what Coach is alluding to, and I think that's what I like too. I mean,
Are you telling me you had very little talent? That's why you just got that? Is that what you're saying?
I completely agree.
Hey, he was first team All New England his freshman year in college in Division I. Come on.
Coach, every time
Give the guy some credit.
about a player. Hold on. Every time he calls me and asks about a player, I'm like, well, he's bigger than I was. He's stronger than I was.
You have to understand that,
It's
right?
more power. I don't think he's a good player.
He goes, tell me something I don't know.
So I obviously paid attention. I was very aware of what was going on around me, even before, like, this is like just like early internet, right? Like year 6 of like me knowing how to actually like do dial up. And now I'm in college and I'm always plugged into the internet with an Ethernet cord. So I'm looking around, I'm reading Baseball America, and I get this Tewksbury kid at UVM, first team freshman All-America, first team All-Region, like what? And I'm like, man, this dude's a stud. So like when I got to NECBL and played against him, like he was like my Northeast hero. He was the, top prospect in the Northeast. And I'm like, and then I got to know him. I'm like, really, bro, this is it. This is you. But I always thought he was great. I thought he was a great player. And, obviously we can joke all we want. You were pretty good, dude. You were good.
I could play. I didn't have many tools, but I could play.
Yep, you definitely could
The
play.
problem is when you can hit, you can't know if a guy can hit unless you watch him for like a month. And I always just say this to people, I can't do anything else. Like, I can do everything else okay. I can play defense. Like, I know I can play D. But when I play third, I get nervous and I'll throw it, into the 18th row or whatever every now and so often. But when you put me at first, I can look the part. But I don't stand out. Like, there's nothing I do on a field that stands out.
Tooks was money on defense. Any ground ball that I wanted hit with second and third and 2 outs, a tight game, I wanted to hit it shortstop. So
that's the best compliment you can get.
That when you want that, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You usually want a 2-hopper to your first baseman right next to the bag. Now that would be you, Chris. That's the guy I'd want. Hit Chris the ball, 2-hopper, please. 1 step to the bag. You'd make that play every time, wouldn't you?
Yeah. You definitely don't want a fly ball to hit to me in the outfield with the game on the line, though. I'm gonna promise you.
Yeah.
Or like a curling fly ball, like a regular fly ball I'm gonna catch.
Or one into the corner at Fenway, down the left field corner with you out there, right, to end the game into the corner, and you're going back there, and you got people reaching out and screaming at you and calling you a traitor because you went west.
Yeah.
You got to make that catch.
Thanks. Yeah.
Bobby, I got to go meet a left-handed pitcher. Are we close?
We're close. We're very
Oh,
close.
you got one more?
We got to do home run derby predictions.
All right.
Because this will air tomorrow. So
I think the guy's going to have an Angels shirt on. I think an Angels shirt on that's going to win it.
So you got Ohtani. He's having a unbelievable year.
Oh, my goodness. They're going to throw him some shoulder-high fastballs. He's going to just go whack.
Yeah.
He's going to flick it 400 feet out.
I am making my dark horse prediction, Matt Olson, just because I think he's going to take ridiculous BPs. The key to nowadays home run derby is who's going to run out of juice the fastest.
Yeah, you're right.
Like the minutes and stuff.
They get tired.
Yeah,
they get tired.
Whoever has the easiest first round win is going to win because ain't nobody going to hit like 79 homers. If Ohtani, I'm just curious. I'm curious to watch it. I wasn't going to watch it, but now I'm going to watch it.
I don't like this pick, but I'm taking Gallo because I think he's got the dumbest power in the whole thing.
It's teed up for an Olsen Gallo semifinal, by the way. So
is it?
I mean, they have to beat Story and Mancini. So
it's tough to go against Pete Alonso just because he loves it so much. He's such a competitor and he takes pride in it. But I'm most excited to watch Shohei.
I'd like to hit some of the balls that they're being pitched. I'd like to hit those balls, just to see them fly, because I think they're compacted so hard.
They didn't put them in the humidor either. They're
my first
wound
meeting in the
on
big leagues. I went, this can't be real life. I was hitting ball like I had light tower power in the show.
That's great.
Anyway.
All right, we can stop it there, Coach.
Left-handed pitchers are more
Did you have a
important.
story? You said you had a story. Do you have a story about me you wanted to share?
I was just told when you came out of high school that you'd never be able to play shortstop because that's what we were really looking for, shortstop. And your coach said, no, he's a second baseman. That's all he's able to play. So I don't know if you want a second baseman. I said, I think he's got the arm to play the other side. And he goes, no. I said, okay. Well, we recruited you anyway. And 2 weeks into the fall, Chris, I say, why don't you two flip-flop? And we had another kid at short that had a lot of show and a lot of stuff that, of course, you can tell I wasn't crazy about. And Tewksbury was just steady, mechanically sound, no flash, just make the play. And all of a sudden it worked and off and running. We had a really good year, and Tukes was first team All New England as a freshman. Hit over 400, I think. High threes.
In conference.
High threes. Yeah. Yeah, he got poor coaching the years after that because he never attained that again. But he kept getting hurt and cheated in the weight room probably. But he was a solid player, and we made an easy, quick move, which I think made him one of the best college players in our conference in New England, certainly for those years.
But everybody else was seeing it too.
It was really fun to go to my alumni game. And
he almost got me in a fight. I got to tell this one real quick. We almost got me in a fight. We're down in Northeastern. He's got a bad thumb, so he can't play anymore. He misses like the last 6 games of the year. Is that right, too? 6 games, maybe? He just tried to play through it, just couldn't. One of those bad thumb tendon problems. Well, he's coaching first base because my volunteer coach couldn't come. I needed a coach in the dugout. I'm the only full-time guy, of course, on the staff. He's coaching first base. He's got a clipboard out there. And a guy from the Northeastern dugout is just abusing him with a clipboard. Look at him. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He's a fruitcake. Look at him. And he's taking a bunch of crap from him. And the coach, Neil McPhee, who's a friend of mine, but he goes out of control in the game. And he starts to get on the umpire about Tewksbury. And everything is going at Bobby and stuff. And I finally had enough. So I step over, I go into their dugout, and I point to him at the end of the dugout, and I said, we played against each other for years. I said, we never had a problem until this little shit at the end of the bench, and there's a little guy that never plays, was chirping Tewksbury and getting everybody wound up. And I said, he's the guy that's creating the problem, not anybody else, not our guy, it's him. And an assistant yells at me from the other end of the dugout, hey, stop talking to coach like that. And I go, shut up. I'm talking to Neil, who I've known for 20 years. And that kid just shut right up. And Neil understood where I was coming from. But it was about Tewksbury almost starting a brawl. And remember, Tewks, the game was like tied right then. And then one of our best hitters, Kyle Bro, hit a rocket back almost off the pitcher's forehead with 2 guys on, put us ahead. We ended up sweeping them 3 games on that hit, and right after that incident, and our guys were charged up. They were ready to brawl. They were ready to protect me because I'm in their dugout screaming at everybody, but everybody in their color uni. And I thought for sure the assistant, the head coach, everybody's going to go at it. And I wasn't sure if my guys were going to be behind me or not. And it all worked out great for us, of course. We've swept them, I think. And Tukes got everybody really fired up.
You had a plan. That's why.
Yeah, I think he had a plan.
I remember having the clipboard because I was tucking it into my back. I have no idea what I was writing down. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, you're getting serious abuse from a little twerp on the other bench that never plays, and he was just all over you. And I had enough.
I remember.
I had your back.
The clipboard.
I had your back, Tukes. I had your back. I just hoping you had mine if things started to go south and it was 20-on-1.
I appreciate it. I thought you were going to tell the Stony Brook foul ball homer story my freshman year. There was a controversial homer down left field line. You came out and argued and got so mad. And then after I went to the umpire, I'm like, I think it actually was fair.
Yeah. I got kicked out of the game. And my son Bryce was with us on that trip. And he was like 7 years old, Chris. And I'm kicked out at Stony Brook. I'm way down in the corner, and I'm sending my 7-year-old kid in to tell the assistant coach which pitching change to make and stuff.
That's awesome.
So he's going down. Dad says, Jimmy, get Jimmy loose. he's and then the first base coach sees this after about 3 times in. He goes, hey, he's telling his kid he can't do that. He's got to be out of. And they tell my 7-year-old, hey, you got to go back and stand with your father in the corner. So, yeah, and this was in the 7th inning, I think, Tubes. The kid hits a home run. I swear it's foul, and I get kicked out. I'm going bullshit. And all of a sudden, Tubes goes that I think it ticked the foul pole, Coach. And the game went like 13 innings. This was a 7-inning game. It went 13, and we lost. And I was all over the umpires the second game because I said, see, you had to umpire another 7 innings. And
you did this to yourselves, yeah.
Yeah, you did this to yourself. So I don't feel sorry for you at all. I thought I was going to get thrown out again going into the second game because I was all over them about that. Yeah, I should have put Tewksbury on the bus the second game after telling me he ticked the foul ball, Coach.
What I understand is that
I went like 7 for 11 that weekend now, so it's good.
You know who actually told me that too was Leaf Eklund. He was the left fielder, right? Leaf, right? It was.
That would have been. Leaf. Was he there that year?
I don't know. It was a left fielder. He came in and said, "Coach, I think I heard it tick the foul pole." After I got thrown out.
I think it was
not what I want to hear.
Yeah.
You can tell me that back in Burlington.
Later. Wait at the right moment.
Way later.
Yeah.
Yeah. You couldn't strangle your kids back then, like you definitely can't now, but it was close then.
That's great.
All right, gentlemen.
All right, Coach, good chatting with you.
We got to go lock in a lefty.
Go get him.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for
good to see you both again. And, you can always send the smart ones our way that can play.
I'll be down to visit soon. I'm going to be in Connecticut a couple times the next
Anytime you're coming, let me know during the school year. And I'd love to have you talk to our team or something. Of course, Tuke said he was going to bring his new apparatus and techno swing and everything. He was going to bring it down here and show me it and work our team through it. But you know how that goes.
Listen, we had a meeting this morning.
He had a tight release on him, and he just couldn't get away.
I got you.
And now he's in Austin, and I don't think it's ever going to happen. So
No. He makes me do the work. So now I'm the traveler.
That's all right. That's all right. I'd rather have you, Chris, come down because you could demonstrate at least, and he,
Yeah, that's for sure.
I know.